The silence in Westminster was the kind that precedes a storm. Not the booming, theatrical kind, but the insidious, creeping quiet that settles before the first crack of lightning. It was a Thursday, late, the kind of late where ambition fades, and the only thing left is the hum of fluorescent lights and the echo of footsteps in empty corridors. Then it happened. A procedural motion, filed under the innocuous title of Administrative Clarification. It was a document designed to slip under the radar, a whisper in the hallowed halls of power. But within its dry, bureaucratic language lay a tremor that threatened to shake the House of Windsor to its foundation. The subject? Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor. The catalyst, ironically, wasn't some explosive revelation or scandalous leak. It was a comment, delivered with the chilling calm of a seasoned journalist, Tom Bower. At a literary event in London, Bower, a man known for his relentless pursuit of truth and his uncanny ability to unearth secrets, dropped a bombshell. The public has never been told the truth about Archie's birth. He didn't elaborate, didn't sensationalize. He simply let the statement hang in the air, a weighty accusation shrouded in ambiguity. The reaction was immediate. The British media, predictably, went into overdrive. American networks followed suit. Social media became a battleground of speculation and conjecture. But amidst the noise and fury, something else was stirring. A quiet, methodical investigation, triggered by the mere suggestion of impropriety. In the UK, certain claims don't demand proof, they demand answers. And the whisper about Archie's birth was enough to set the wheels of power in motion. The first sign wasn't a press release or a public statement. It was a package, delivered anonymously to Kensington Palace. No return address, no official seal, just a handwritten note. For the future of the monarchy, opened personally. Inside a dossier, meticulously compiled, it contained timelines, photographs, and witness accounts, all presented as questions rather than accusations. The title of the first page sent a chill down Prince William's spine. Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor, a timeline review. The dossier didn't scream falsehood. It highlighted inconsistencies. Dates that didn't quite align, public statements that subtly contradicted each other, shifting hospital references, and unusually imprecise language from palace spokespeople. One section scrutinized the Portland Hospital announcement, its timing, its wording, the absence of customary medical confirmation. Another focused on photographic anomalies from the pregnancy period, visual irregularities that had fueled internal questions for years. But it was the anonymous witness account that truly rattled William. The witness referenced a specific physical detail about Archie, something never revealed to the public, a small, distinctive mark known only to those who had seen the child up close. William remembered it. A fleeting glimpse during an awkward family gathering, a detail easily missed, but impossible to forget. And here it was, described with unnerving accuracy by someone who shouldn't have known. That was the moment William reportedly ordered a sealed internal verification. Confirm, cross-check, review. No leaks, no assumptions. The stakes were too high, but a question had been planted, and within the labyrinthine corridors of the monarchy, questions rarely remain unanswered. Across the Atlantic, the storm broke on Meghan's doorstep with the force of a hurricane. Headlines screamed, accusations she couldn't ignore, whispers turned into shouts, and the carefully constructed narrative she'd so meticulously crafted began to crumble. Her phone became a weapon, each vibration a fresh assault. Lawyers posturing, advisors panicking, PR strategists spinning tales that no one, least of all Meghan herself, believed. The question hung in the air, unspoken but deafening. How much do they know? Her instinct, honed by years in the Hollywood trenches, was to fight back. A legal blitzkrieg, letters threatening defamation, warnings issued with the icy precision she'd perfected on screen. But Tom Bower, the quiet puppeteer behind this unfolding drama, met her threats with a chillingly simple response. Proceed as you will. Discovery benefits truth. Those 4 words were a dagger. Discovery, the sunlight that could expose every carefully concealed corner, the enemy of narrative control. But worse than the media frenzy, worse than the legal threats, was Harry's silence. His absence from the narrative was a gaping. No statement defending his wife, no leak to sympathetic journalists, no show of solidarity. He simply vanished, leaving Meghan to face the storm alone. The commentators pounced. What kind of father remains silent? Is his silence protection or admission? The questions echoed the doubts that were already consuming her. In London, the political machinery was grinding forward, oblivious to the personal dramas playing out across the ocean. The inquiry, they insisted, wasn't about scandal, but about constitutional integrity, lineage, documentation, precedent. The crown, after all, wasn't built on feeling, but on ironclad rules and centuries of tradition. Questions had been raised, and questions, once logged, demanded answers. Back in California, the pressure finally cracked something. A rumor, bizarre and almost unbelievable, began to circulate. A whisper that Harry and Meghan were not just bending the truth, but outright lying about who gave birth to Archie. In a fictionalized retelling of a heated off-the-record exchange, Meghan allegedly confronted Tom Bower through intermediaries. The conversation was charged, emotional, a desperate attempt to regain control, and in that moment, a phrase slipped out, a crack in the dam. The woman who gave birth. The sentence remained unfinished, but its implications were deafening. In narratives like this, the unsaid often speaks louder than any declaration. The story ceased to be about celebrity gossip and morphed into a battle for records, for verification, for the very foundation of the monarchy. In the space between Westminster's quiet corridors and a Montecito mansion built on carefully curated appearances, a question began to take shape, a question that no one dared to utter aloud. Not who is Archie, but how much of the story was ever complete. The relentless scrutiny, the deafening silence, the crumbling facade. It all pointed to one inescapable truth. The game was changing. It wasn't about winning the press cycle anymore. It was about surviving the scrutiny of an institution that had weathered storms far greater than this. This wasn't just about a child. It was about the very future of the monarchy, about whether truth, once delayed, could still be contained. The private jet sliced through the bruised sky, each mile carrying Harry further into the past. The weight of expectation, of duty, settled on him like a shroud. He hadn't told Meghan he was coming. A decision made in the lonely hours before dawn, a desperate gamble to salvage something from the wreckage. Windsor Castle loomed, a stone sentinel guarding centuries of secrets. Inside, in a room stripped of its usual pomp, William waited. The air crackled with unspoken accusation, with the shared history that bound them and the betrayal that threatened to tear them apart. William didn't rise. His face was etched with weariness, the burden of the crown pressing down on him with brutal force. The silence stretched, a suffocating blanket woven from years of unspoken resentments and carefully guarded lies. Did she give birth to Archie? William's voice was flat, devoid of emotion. Harry flinched, the question a physical blow. He opened his mouth, but the lie caught in his throat. For a fleeting moment, he was a boy again, hiding behind his older brother, seeking refuge from a world that demanded too much. I don't know, Harry finally whispered, the admission a ragged tear in the carefully constructed fabric of his life. Not for certain. It was enough. William pushed a folder across the table, a collection of damning evidence. The dossier, the midwife's statement, timelines meticulously cross-referenced with Harry's own travel record. And then, the final document, the one that turned Harry's blood to ice, a preliminary legal opinion from constitutional expert. The words blurred, but the meaning was crystal clear. If Archie's birth was misrepresented, his place in the line of succession could be challenged. Parliament would have grounds to act. This is bigger than Meghan, William said, his voice low but firm. Bigger than you. If Parliament concludes there was deception, they won't stop at stripping title. They'll demand answers from the palace itself. Harry buried his face in his hands, the weight of his choices crushing him. She said it was the only way, he choked out. She said they'd never accept us otherwise. William leaned back, a flicker of pain in his eyes. Did you believe her? Harry remained silent, the unspoken answer hanging heavy in the air. Across the Atlantic, Meghan was unraveling. News alerts flashed across her phone, each one a hammer blow to her carefully constructed world. Parliamentary inquiries, senior royals refusing comment, legal analysts dissecting the implications for the line of succession, and the silence from Harry, the deafening silence that spoke volumes. Her lawyer's voice, when it finally came, lacked its usual confidence. Westminster isn't backing down, he said. If this goes public, discovery will be brutal. Medical records, witnesses, everything. Meghan laughed, a brittle, desperate sound. They won't dare. I'll burn it all down first. But even as she spoke, fear crept in. She was no longer battling tabloids or gossip bloggers. She was facing institutions that had weathered wars, abdications, scandals far worse than hers. In London, Tom Bower watched the drama unfold with clinical detachment. He held back his final piece of evidence, knowing that the pressure alone was enough. Asked about potential legal repercussions, he simply smiled. Truth has a way of surfacing, he said, especially when too many people are invested in keeping it buried. Parliament moved with quiet, ruthless efficiency. A cross-party committee, cloaked in the guise of constitutional clarification, was formed. No press releases, no grand pronouncements. The message was clear. The monarchy was being audited from the inside out. At Windsor, William stood by the window as Harry prepared to leave. "You still have a choice," William said, his voice softer now. "Tell the truth now, privately, or let it explode publicly. Either way, it's coming." Harry nodded, tears streaming down his face. "I never meant for it to go this far. It always does," William replied, a hint of resignation in his voice. Days later, when Harry returned to California, Meghan saw the change immediately. The distance in his eyes, the resolve in his jaw. That night, after the children were asleep, he finally spoke. "I'm done lying," he said, his voice devoid of emotion. Meghan's face hardened. "You're choosing them over us." "I'm choosing the truth," he replied. "For Archie, for Lilette, for myself." The scream that followed shattered the silence of the mansion, a raw, unfiltered expression of rage and betrayal. The perfect image, finally, irrevocably cracked.